Before World of Warcraft, before the epic battles of Warcraft 3, there was Warcraft, Orcs and Humans, the game that started it all. Released in 1994, this real-time strategy pioneer laid the foundation for one of gaming's most iconic franchises. But playing it today in 2024 feels, well, let's just say it's a reminder of how far we've come. With clunky controls, no right-click movement, and only being able to control 4 units at once, it's not exactly easy to recommend as a modern gaming experience. That said, Warcraft wasn't just a game, it was a starting point for something far greater. It introduced players to the rich fantasy world of Azeroth, gave us the iconic conflict between orcs and humans, and sparked a franchise that would redefine the RTS genre and beyond. In this review, we'll explore what made Warcraft groundbreaking in its day, where it stumbles by today's standards, and how it set the stage for Blizzard's rise to legendary status. Warcraft Orcs and Humans built on the foundation laid by Dune 2 and pushed the real-time strategy genre forward in meaningful ways. Players could command armies, construct bases, and gather resources, gold from mines and lumber from trees, all while defending against enemy attacks. It also introduced the concept of asymmetric factions, giving players the choice between orcs and humans. Each side had unique spells, like the orcs' necrolite summoning skeletons, or the humans' cleric casting healing magic, adding a layer of strategy and variety to the gameplay. But not everything aged as gracefully as the idea of 2 warring factions. The controls by today's standards feel painfully restrictive. You can only select at most 4 units, making managing large armies frustrating. And forget about right-clicking to move or attack. That functionality wouldn't appear until later RTS titles. For modern players, these limitations can make the experience frustrating, especially if you're used to smoother controls in later games like Warcraft 2 or StarCraft. However, one innovation that deserves credit is the introduction of multiplayer mode. For the first time, players could compete against each other over a local network, a revolutionary idea in 1994. While primitive by today's standards, this multiplayer mode set the stage for the competitive RTS scene we know today. The campaign also offered variety, with missions that alternated between base-building challenges and more focused combat skirmishes. It wasn't just about crushing the enemy. You also had to think strategically about resource management and positioning your forces. Back in 1994, Warcraft, Orcs and Humans stood out with its bold and colorful graphics, delivering a fantasy world that felt alive and immersive. For its time, the game's pixel art was detailed, from the dark, foreboding forests to the bustling human villages and gritty orc encampments. The unit designs were simple but effective, clearly distinguishing between the brutish orcs and the noble humans. Buildings reflected the cultural identities of each faction. Medieval castles for the humans and rugged huts for the orcs, giving players a visual sense of each side's personality. Animation played a big role in bringing the battlefield to life. Units marched, chopped trees, and swung swords with smooth motions for the era, creating a sense of dynamism. Though primitive by today's standards, these visuals were a leap forward in immersing players in a strategy game that felt truly alive. And then there were the little touches, smoke rising from a burning structure, the glint of a gold mine, and the ominous shadows cast by darkened terrain. These details added depth to the world and made each mission feel distinct. When compared to its predecessor Dune 2, Warcraft pushed the genre forward with a richer visual identity. It didn't just look better, it felt like a fantasy world you could get lost in. While the graphics are undeniably dated today, they were revolutionary in 1994. And even now, they carry a nostalgic charm that reminds us of the early days of Blizzard's iconic art direction. If the graphics of Warcraft brought the world of Azeroth to life visually, then its sound and music cemented its identity. The game's audio was more than just functional, it was iconic. Unit responses became instantly memorable. Whether it was a human peasant dutifully replying, "Yes, my lord," or an orc grunt grumbling, "Zug zug," these voice lines added personality to every click. They not only gave the units charm, but also injected humor into what could have been a straightforward strategy game. The sound design extended to the battlefield as well. The clash of swords, the crackling of fireballs, and the ambient sounds of wood being chopped or gold being mined all work together to immerse players in the chaos of war. And then there's the music. Warcraft delivered a score that captured the epic, high fantasy tone of its setting. The tracks alternated between somber, reflective melodies, intense, warlike compositions, perfectly matching the mood of each mission. For players fortunate enough to experience the game with a Sound Blaster 16 sound card, the difference was night and day. The enhanced audio quality brought the music and effects to life, making the experience that much more immersive. The sound and music of Warcraft not only enhanced the gameplay, but also laid the groundwork for Blizzard's reputation as a studio that could deliver cinematic quality audio. From these humble beginnings, Blizzard's audio design would evolve into one of the hallmarks of the company's games. But what about the story? Warcraft wasn't just about building bases and commanding armies. It was about stepping into a world of epic conflict and timeless fantasy. Set in the kingdom of Azeroth, the game introduced players to the brutal war between the invading Orc horde and the embattled human alliance. The story was simple yet effective. The Orcs, driven by conquest, sought to dominate Azeroth, while the humans fought desperately to defend their homeland. Through its campaign, Warcraft gave players the chance to see the war from both perspectives, immersing them in the motivations and struggles of each faction. The missions themselves were stitched together with narrative elements that, while basic, hinted at the deeper storytelling Blizzard would later perfect. Each victory carried you closer to ultimate triumph, while every loss brought dire consequences, literally. If you played poorly, the game's storyline would shift to reflect your failure, leading to an alternate path where Azeroth fell to ruin. Beyond the campaign, Warcraft planted the seeds of a rich and expansive world. It gave us our first glimpse of Azeroth, a land filled with castles, forests, and strongholds that would later become iconic settings in the Warcraft universe. While the story was straightforward compared to later titles, it laid the groundwork for the sprawling lore we now associate with Warcraft. From these humble beginnings emerged a universe that would evolve into one of the most beloved and enduring franchises in gaming history. When it launched in 1994, Warcraft Orcs and Humans wasn't just another game. It was the spark that ignited a franchise. Its success laid the foundation for Blizzard to become one of the most influential studios in gaming history. The innovations introduced in Warcraft, from its asymmetric factions to its multiplayer mode, set a new standard for real-time strategy games. Titles like Command and Conquer and Age of Empires followed in its footsteps, refining and expanding the RTS genre. But Blizzard didn't stop there. Warcraft 2 built upon the original's ideas, improving the controls, graphics, and storytelling, while cementing Warcraft as a household name. Then came Warcraft 3, which redefined the genre with its hero-focused gameplay and intricate storytelling, introducing characters and lore that would become legendary. And of course, there's World of Warcraft, a phenomenon that turned Azeroth into a living, breathing world explored by millions of players. It transformed the Warcraft franchise into a cultural landmark and set the standard for online RPGs. Even today, the legacy of Warcraft Orcs and Humans can be felt across the gaming industry. It wasn't just the beginning of a franchise, it was the birth of a universe, a testament to the power of innovation, and a reminder that even the humblest beginnings can lead to something truly extraordinary. Though it may not hold up as a must-play in 2024, its influence and importance are undeniable. Warcraft Orcs and Humans isn't just a game, it's a piece of gaming history. Nearly 30 years after its release, Warcraft Orcs and Humans stands as a milestone in gaming history. While its clunky controls and outdated mechanics make it challenging to recommend as a must-play in 2024, its significance in launching the Warcraft franchise and shaping the RTS genre cannot be overstated. For those eager to experience this piece of gaming history firsthand, there's good news. Warcraft Orcs and Humans is available on GOG.com. It's been optimized to run on modern PCs, including Windows 11, making it accessible to a whole new generation of gamers. Whether you're a fan of the Warcraft universe or just curious about where it all began, this game offers a glimpse into Blizzard's earliest days. It's a fascinating piece of history and a reminder of how even the roughest beginnings can evolve into something legendary. So, if you're ready to take a journey back to where it all began, Fire up your war drums and relive the epic struggle between orcs and humans. Just don't forget, history like battle is best experienced with patience and a sense of wonder.
Yes, my lord.